We were at a party. The beer load fell in the D. Someone reached in and grabbed it. Was a rock lobster.
Good morning. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So glad to have you with us on this Tuesday morning, and it's going to be a warm day.
Wait, it's Tuesday?
It's Tuesday. Yesterday was Memorial Day.
That's right.
Remember, we worked yesterday.
We did work. We were on the radio yesterday. But, you know, it's weird when you have those 3-day holidays. It just it throws the whole week kind of cattywampus. You know, you wake up, you're like, wait, what day is it? Where am I supposed to be?
It does.
If you're in that,
well, like you're really working today.
I know.
You're going to Knott's Berry Farm, and I'm so bummed. I totally want to go with you, but I can't.
Yeah, you got a big grant that you're working on.
Yeah, it's a big, and you know the thing about it is it's. I'm super excited about the grant because if we get it, it's a lot of money, but it is so competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, they're giving 4 nationwide, so that I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic, I'm praying, but you know the chances are,
yeah,
you know, the odds are not in our favor.
take some consolation because I will be at Knott's Berry Farm, but I will be there with a busload of 8th graders.
That's
chaperone
funny.
duties.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So what time do you think you'll be home?
Well, we're
with us
supposed
busload of 8th graders.
We're supposed to be back at our school at 9 o'clock tonight. So, yeah, it's going to be a long day.
That's a long, long,
it's a long
day.
But we won't get down there till later in the day because another one of the things that happens at my school this morning, which is one of my favorite things of the year, is we have a video productions class that puts together a year in review video that's like assembly.
Oh, how fun. So you're going to miss it?
No. We're doing that first, and then we load the kids on the bus to go to Knott's Berry Farm. And big shout out to Miss Ialoja, who is our video production class teacher, because she does a phenomenal job with those kids every year, and it just gets better and better. And the kids love it, right? They want to see themselves on the video. And they get video of all kinds of different things that happen on our campus throughout the year. And it's just a great way to highlight for these kids their memories and whatnot. It's just done in a really beautiful way. So I'm excited about that, and then we get on the bus.
So yeah. I want to start with a really heartwarming story. You know, we've heard so many stories of airline personnel just being jerks to their passengers and treating their passengers as if they're criminals. And there was a case recently where a Delta flight and I'm going to tell you a jerky story first. Delta flight attendants had double sold a seat, and the seat had a car seat and a 2-year-old in it.
Yeah.
And the family had, they obviously paid for that seat. Well, the flight attendants, in their infinite wisdom, tried to eject the 2-year-old and didn't want to let the family put the 2-year-old in their lap. And the guy's like, but we're coming home, you know, we bought these seats. I paid for these seats. And, so they actually ended up ejecting the entire family because they double sold the seat. Now, mind you, the guy who was, you know, there was another guy involved, right?
Yeah.
Because they double sold. Why didn't they just tell him he had to wait?
Yeah. Once the family's seated, right? I mean, it seems to me this is kind of a no-brainer. Once the person is seated, right, especially if you have a whole family of people, right, so it's not just a single person, right, that's being affected. You say to the single person who got there late, who is not the one that's seated, oh, I'm so sorry, we double sold the seat. Someone's already, you know, we already have a family. You just tell that person, sorry, you're not.
Here's the thing, Tobin. Yeah. Why are they double selling seats?
I know.
Because they could put in rules that say you have up to 72 hours before to cancel or whatever makes sense.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you still pay for the seat. The seat is still paid for. You know, why are they double selling?
Yes.
And then blaming the customer and getting the customer, you know, if you say no to a flight attendant, you've broken federal law.
Yeah.
And so, you know, so they try to eject the 2-year-old. So just Wow, way to go,
Yeah.
Delta Airlines. But I have a really great story to tell you. And this one is from Hawaiian Airlines. A flight attendant on Hawaiian Airlines, a Hawaiian Airlines flight to LAX, left a mom traveling without her kids in awe. Her faith in humanity completely restored because Rachel Yuen Nihi and her husband Jared were flying solo. The couple joked about their kids, all about their kids, as they didn't have to lug around the airport, and they lamented over the fact that they couldn't pre-board without their little ones, and began to take a note of all the families that were on their flight, pre-planning ways they could help their fellow parents in need, if need be. That's when Rachel noticed a mom traveling alone with her 3 kids who all seemed to be under the age of 5, trying to soothe their youngest child who was inconsolable. I watched her turn into an acrobat, trying to soothe her crying toddler, tossing and turning, trying to find a position to make him comfortable. Rachel wrote in a post on Facebook, she paced the aisles back and forth. Nothing could calm him down. A couple in front of her kept turning around, giving her stink eye, like she was purposely trying to do something. She said she watched the woman in front turn around and snicker something at her children, and all I could think of was, you wait until the seatbelt sign comes off. Jared could tell I was getting frustrated, not at the child screaming, not even at the mom, but irritated that people could see a mother desperately trying to soothe her child and still lack empathy. Right as Rachel was about to get out of her seat helping the struggling mother, one of the flight attendants walked over and asked to hold the woman's son. Although Rachel noticed the mom seemed hesitant and a bit embarrassed, the toddler had been crying for over 45 minutes at that point and nothing was working. So when the toddler reached up to the flight attendant, she scooped him up and immediately began to rock him in her arms until he finally stopped crying. This is true aloha spirit, Rachel wrote. Hawaiian Airlines, you should be proud of the people you hire who go beyond the call of duty and remind the world that kindness isn't all that uncommon. To that flight attendant, thank you for your kindness. It was noticed all around the flight. You gave a mother a moment to breathe, and you have no idea how priceless this was for everyone around to see.
Wow.
Yay.
Nice.
There was
right?
another case, and I also think it was Hawaiian Airlines, where a family also who had young children left behind a cooler of breast milk.
Oh, no.
And when they called, they realized that next day, you get home and you're tired, and they go home, and they realized the next day that they had left it. And they called the airline, and the airline, so the flight attendant who picked it up, not only did he pick it up and put it aside, he put the breast milk in the refrigerator.
So it didn't go bad.
So it didn't go bad.
Wow.
That's the aloha spirit. That's the
Yep.
aloha spirit. So, as these stories come out, you'll see the market do what the market does.
Yeah.
If you treat your customers like garbage, they're going to find an airline that doesn't.
Yeah. No, exactly. Aloha, Hawaii, you rock.
Hawaii, you rock. And we've had good experiences on American, on Alaska.
Yes.
Southwest is what Southwest is. You don't expect much, you don't get much. I mean, you get where you're going, it's on time. That's all you expect.
Yep.
But there are other airlines that we won't fly anymore because we just have not had a positive experience. So with that, let's go ahead and take a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back. Oh, that music is still going.
This segment of broadcasting brought to you by Tender Hearts TLC Incorporated. Tender Hearts, the helping hands for your loved ones, where they understand it can be difficult to find time in your already busy schedule to attend to all the needs of your aging loved one. Tender Hearts will be there for your loved one when you can't be. Tender Hearts TLC helps your aging loved ones stay in their home as they specialize in tender, loving, 24-hour service, including transportation to doctor's appointments, medication reminders, meal preparation, light housekeeping, and assistance with activities of daily living such as hygiene and grooming, orientation, and companionship. We thank Tender Hearts for their support of this station. Tender Hearts TLC, where they don't just care for your loved one, they give them tender, loving care. For more info, you can reach them at 909-528-9759. That's 909-528-9759 for Tender Hearts TLC.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-643-6931 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-643-6931 to take your call now. Call 1-800-643-6931. That's 1-800-643-6931. Again, 1-800-643-6931.
This salute to our military, sponsored by Paco Craig, Home Smart Executives Realty in Moreno Valley, serving the area with quality and pride. If you're in the market to buy or sell real estate in the area, call 951-312-9502 or visit online at PacoCraigProperties.com. Like him on Facebook, that's Paco Craig, Home Smart Executives Realty in Moreno Valley. Thanking our troops and veterans this Memorial Day.
On June 5th, the choice is clear. James Ramos for State Assembly. James Ramos is tackling homelessness in our community, finding permanent housing for more than 400 veterans. Now he's helping homeless youth and families find housing. James Ramos is fighting to keep us safe. San Bernardino County Police and Sheriff support James Ramos for Assembly. We need him in the State Assembly, fighting for us. James Ramos for State Assembly. Paid for by People for Better Government Committee of the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians. Not authorized by a candidate or a committee controlled by a candidate.
The Inland Empire's radio home for the Dave Ramsey Show.
If you want to mess around with the Bitcoin thing and you're in that world a little bit, that's fine. But don't put your freaking life savings in it, doofus.
KCAAradio.com.
KCAA, where every day is a great day.
I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So these eruptions keep happening. It's ongoing. I say these eruptions. It's just been ongoing eruption, and fissure ruptures and all kinds of things are still happening on the Big Island. And there's also a dangerous VOG.
What's a VOG?
It's volcanic smog.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's creating beautiful sunsets, but it's poisonous gas. Kilauea volcano on Hawaii's Big Island has had it all over the past 3 weeks. Molten rock shooting toward the sky, lava oozing from the ground, and ash clouds rising miles into the air. You could also add VOG to the mix. Scientists say higher sulfur dioxide emissions recorded at the volcano's vents in recent days are creating the potential for heavier than usual VOG, or volcanic smog. So far, trade winds have been mostly blowing the gray haze offshore. Volcanic smog is created by vapor, carbon dioxide, and sulfur dioxide gas released from Kilauea. It reacts in the atmosphere with oxygen, sunlight, moisture, and other gases and particles. In a matter of hours or days, it converts into fine particles that scatter sunlight, creating a haze that can be seen downwind of Kilauea. Sulfur dioxide emissions from the volcano have more than doubled since the current eruption began.
Wow. Now, it says that it's belching 15,000 tons of gas each day, Aaron, and that's up from 6,000 tons prior to the May 3rd eruption. Can you imagine?
No. I know when my mom lived in Hawaii, she lived on Oahu, she would talk about the VOG, and there were certain times of year where it would hang over more, it would sit there longer than others. and that was bad. People living miles from the eruption are paying attention to the amount of noxious fumes pouring out of the volcano because it creates a potential for more fog. Everyone is having symptoms now on some level, according to Dr. Josh Green, a state senator and emergency room physician who has been volunteering in communities where lava fissures have opened in neighborhoods. Symptoms for generally healthy people can include burning eyes, headaches, and sore throats, but those with asthma or other respiratory problems can end up hospitalized. Meanwhile, retired photojournalist Chris Stewart says there's one good thing about VOG. It intensifies the colors of the sunset. I almost felt guilty enjoying our sunsets, said Stewart, who's grateful to be living on the Big Island's west side away from the volcano.
Wow. You know, I imagine the folks that are experiencing those symptoms as being pretty miserable, right?
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That much particulate in the air. And you and I grew up here in Southern California back in the day when we used to have the really bad smog. And, this sounds like some of those same kind of symptoms when you have that really intense smog. And, there's no way to go. I mean, you live on an island there. There's nowhere to go to get away from it. You're just stuck,
Yes. I suppose they could go to Maui, but how's the wind blowing?
Yeah.
Are the other islands, and the article doesn't say whether the other islands, well, it says it's blowing it offshore. It could be away from the other islands, but if the wind shifts, then what?
Yeah, exactly.
Because Hawaii is the first, depending on how you look at it, the first in the chain or the last in the chain.
Yeah.
So it's on the far west side. So you pick the next one.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so because my wife is a wonderful conspiracy theorist, we have to do the RFK Jr. one. So
I am really not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a fan of conspiracy theories.
You love the crazy.
I do. I just think it's fascinating.
Yes. So Robert Kennedy's son says he believes that there was a second shooter who fired the fatal shots. He thinks it wasn't Sirhan, right? So nearly a half a century after bullets took the life of Robert Kennedy, Sirhan, the man convicted of firing those bullets, has an unlikely defender. It's Robert Kennedy Jr., the slain presidential candidate's third eldest child, tells the Washington Post that I can go to a place where I had to see Sirhan because I got to go to a place where I could see I got to a place where I had to see Sirhan because I was curious and disturbed by what I had seen in the evidence and disturbed that the wrong person might have been convicted of killing my father.
Now, but he doesn't say that Sirhan didn't fire shots.
Yeah.
He says that Sirhan didn't fire the lethal shots.
Yeah. So after a 3-hour jailhouse visit with the convicted assassin in December, a conversation that he won't discuss in detail, Kennedy Jr. says he believes that there was a second shooter at the Ambassador Hotel on June 5th, 1968, and that Sirhan did not fire the fatal shots. Kennedy Jr., who was 14 when his father was assassinated, is now calling for a re-investigation into his death. He joins Paul Schrade, who was also shot that night but survived. The case isn't without evidence. Sirhan was standing in front of Kennedy, but the autopsy showed that the fatal shots hit Kennedy from behind. Evidence in later years shows that as many as 13 shots were fired, though Sirhan's weapon held only 8 bullets. Yes, he did shoot me. Yes, he shot 4 other people and aimed at Kennedy, Schrade says. The important thing is he did not shoot Robert Kennedy, says Kennedy Jr. Once Schrade showed me the autopsy report, then I didn't feel like it was something that I could just dismiss, which is what I wanted to do. Sirhan has long held that he has no memory of the assassination, and some witnesses have said that there was a second shooter.
Crazy. So, it's interesting that a member of the Kennedy family is the one who's asking the questions. And certainly it sounds like there's forensic evidence to justify reopening the investigation. I think it's time.
You think so? Huh?
I do, actually. I mean, this isn't some vague notion of somebody being in a grassy knoll.
Yeah.
This is the lethal shots, the fatal shots came from behind, and Sirhan was in front of him.
Yeah.
Now, Sirhan should be in jail because he was attempting to assassinate him as well.
Yeah.
He just didn't fire the lethal shots. Fine. Find the guy who did.
So here's an interesting thing, because when I served on the city council, we would occasionally have these cases come in front of us of where a police officer had shot someone in the course of their duties as a police officer. And quite often, the bullet trajectories don't match up with exactly what you would expect. And it has to do with the fact that people move, right? So yes, they may have been walking in a direction, but when shooting starts, people turn, they move. And so, you say, well, he was shot in the back. even though the guy was in front of him. Well, it's possible that as he turned away is when the shot hit, right?
Theoretically, I mean, but theoretically, I think that it merits investigation.
Yeah.
By people who know what they're doing. And not the court of public opinion, but people who know what they're doing, who understand ballistics, who understand, what happened that day. Obviously there were pictures taken immediately after it happened. There were photographers right there, and there were people right there. And I assume that some of those people are no longer with us, but there's probably some of the people who still are.
Yeah.
And we need to know what happened.
50 years ago, June 5th, 1968, people.
50 years ago. Crazy,
Coming up.
right? Yeah, well, and it's one of those things where they got to do it now or do it never, because, if I'm sure a good chunk of the people who were there are no longer with us.
Yeah.
So from the conspiracy theory to the ridiculous, which is not a great transition, but I'm doing it anyway. So Publix is a grocery store chain in the South, right? So
yes.
They have grocery stores throughout the South, including in Florida. And they are getting slammed, this is from the Daily Wire, for caving to far-left activists, and customers are upset. So the Florida-based grocery store is facing a severe backlash after they caved to the far-left activist David Hogg and his intimidation tactics on Friday. This is last Friday. As many customers are now saying they will no longer shop there. Hogg and other activists laid on the floor of the grocery store for 720 seconds, which Hogg falsely claimed as a second for each mass shooting that has happened in the U.S. since the Pulse nightclub massacre, and screamed for a big boycott of the store. Now, there have not been 72 mass shootings, mass school shootings, since Publix, not Publix, that's the Pulse nightclub massacre.
Yeah.
There have not been that many. And why would he want a boycott of the store? I'm seriously calling this young man Boycott Boy.
Yeah, right.
He seriously is. He calls for boycotts all the time and thinks that he is some, wonderful beacon of morality here in the United States. The boycott came after it was revealed that the grocery store had donated money to a politician in the past who had described himself as a major advocate for the NRA and the Second Amendment. So, following Publix's decision to cave to the far-left activists, many people announced that they were no longer going to shop at the store. And so Twitter blew up and said, people are like, well, you let these kids take over the store and throw a tantrum on the floor, which is essentially what they did. They laid down on the floor.
Yeah.
So fine, you've caved into them, and we're not going to shop there anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting. I suspect, because Florida being a fairly large and diverse state, that you're going to get very different reactions in different areas. So there might be some liberal areas that be like, yeah, these kids did a good thing, right? And then you're going to have some very conservative areas. And I'm thinking I've got friends who live up in the panhandle of Florida. They're very conservative. They're like, I'll never shop there again. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so, Publix is put into a no-win situation here, because either way they were going to offend one side or the other. But it seems to me that oftentimes these folks sort of do the knee-jerk thing, which is to respond to the immediate boycott thing, and other folks are kind of left, wondering, what the heck? Does anybody have a backbone in this country?
I wish that they had said to David Hogg and his followers, look, little boy, you need to leave our store now or we're going to call the police.
Yeah.
They had no right to be there. And if we've reached a point in our country where they can go through all of the political donations for a side that they don't agree with, and be able to put it all out there so that a backlash ensues, that's crazy.
Well, we saw the same thing happen here in California after Proposition 8.
Yeah, we did.
Right? Where they went through, they got access to the names and addresses of every person that donated for Proposition 8. And then they went to their homes and their businesses, and they began to intimidate and attack these people in very public ways. And so we saw businesses go out of business. We saw people's careers ruined simply for making a donation, right?
So Brendan Eich, who was the CEO of Mozilla, and Mozilla was a very gay-friendly company.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. It didn't have a political position. He had given, I think it was $2,000 to the Prop 8 movement, and that was discovered, and he was fired.
Yeah.
For engaging in free speech.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's one of those things where, you don't have to agree with a person's political position, but we live in a country where you have to respect the right to have that political position, and saying that you support a law or oppose a law that somebody else supports or opposes, that's on the opposite side of you, is not discrimination. That is not, this is how the system works, right? And going after people personally like that it makes you a particularly vile kind of person.
Yep.
Because you're really undermining and destroying the foundations of our government. As you said, it's free speech.
It's
right?
interesting because you compare and contrast this to what's happening in the NFL. The difference with between this, where somebody privately, quietly makes a donation or signs a petition or does something like that, and then it's researched and uncovered, it's very different than somebody wearing the uniform of whatever company they work for, be it in the NFL or wherever, makes a political statement, a very public political statement, wearing the uniform of the company they work for. Right.
Yeah.
So those are two very different things. Now, the company has a right to say, well, while you're wearing our uniform, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And they do that all the time, right? There's
Yeah.
lots of things you can't do while you're at work.
Yeah.
But somebody, as a private citizen, quietly making a donation, quietly signing a petition, quietly engaging in the political process, without your brand on it, without their company's brand on it, they have a right to do that.
Yeah. The thing about the football thing with the kneeling is that there seems to be this belief that they should be able to continue to do that without any consequence, right? And the whole idea of this is what makes it brave, what makes it meaningful that they're doing these things, is that there is the risk of consequence for them, right? And so Kaepernick is experiencing the consequences of it. He's not got a job right now. He's not making the $1 million contract that he was before, the big money, And if these guys begin to get fined or lose their careers over it, then it becomes meaningful. Until that happens, right, they're just a bunch of whiny babies saying, I want to have it both ways. I want to get my cushy job and my $1 million contract, but I also want to be able to profess whatever I want to profess while wearing your uniform.
Right. On national television.
On national television.
Right.
And so, I think about what made Dr. King and the people who marched with him so powerful and so meaningful is that they were willing to take the consequences. It was painful to watch, but that's what instigated the change in our country, right? Until you're willing to take the consequences, your movement is meaningless. Take the consequences. Embrace it. You're right. Okay, yes, I've lost my career for this. I've lost this much money. Use that. Become louder. Become more vocal, right? And if people believe that what you've done is right, then the laws will change, the culture will change, and eventually you may be able to get reinstated. But you may not. You may not, because that's the consequence of standing up for something that you believe in.
The one thing that the kneeling has done, whether that conversation is productive or not, it started a conversation about police brutality.
Yeah.
Or it's at least bolstered that conversation, because the conversation started before then, but it was starting to wane. And so, our law enforcement officers in the United States harder on African Americans? And I think that you've seen departments kind of looking at that question.
Yeah.
Now the other side, the flip side of that is that they've backed off being as present in some pretty dangerous neighborhoods.
Yep.
If you look at what's happened in Baltimore since the riots there, it hasn't gotten better, folks.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, one of the protocols that's changed is they've gone to these body cameras, right? And the consequence of that is that I think that because they know the cameras are on, that they're less likely to engage in certain situations, right? Because they know that this might end up being a career-ending moment. They'll be caught on camera. And so I think you're right that part of what you're getting is that they're walking away. The other part of it is that because there are more of these cameras out there now, that we're seeing a lot more, right? And we've seen it both ways. Like the one the other day where this woman accused a cop of essentially offering to let her off of a DUI if she traded sexual favors.
Yes.
And then they released all of the video. And the guy had like 2 hours worth of DUI stops. And all of them were him acting very professionally, including the one with this woman who made all these claims against him and completely exonerates him. And now she's facing additional charges, not just for the driving under the influence, but also for making the false claims.
What an idiot.
Right?
So on that happy note, It's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we'll be right back.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292 FQ Riverside, and K293 CF Moreno Valley.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carter. There are more signs today that a meeting between President Trump and Kim Jong-un may become a reality. Trump tweeting this morning that a top North Korean official is on his way to New York to work out the details. There are also U.S. teams in North Korea and Singapore working on making a summit happen.
That summit really will depend on the U.S. team inside North Korea and what it reports back to President Trump.
NBC's Bill Neely reporting. Starbucks will be closing more than 8,000 company-owned stores this afternoon for racial bias education. All stems from the arrest of 2 black men at a Philadelphia store that sparked a nationwide backlash. 2 TV journalists from South Carolina are dead after a tree fell on their SUV while they were on assignment covering severe weather. The 2 from WYFF in Spartanburg were covering rainstorms in nearby Polk County, North Carolina yesterday when the accident happened. Lisa Carter, NBC News Radio.
It's time for traffic on KCAA. I'm Erin Brinker. In Montclair, there's a SIG alert on the 10 eastbound before Monte Vista Avenue. A serious crash is blocking the carpool and 3 left lanes, and traffic is completely stopped from Town Avenue. The 10 west is slow overall from Etiwanda. In the Cajon Pass on the 15 southbound at the 138, an injury crash involving a vehicle over the side has traffic. Well, it's stop and go from Oak Hill Road. This has been your traffic report on KCAA. We are the stations that leave no listener behind. I'm Erin Brinker.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Alvin Washington. Sunny and warm this morning on your way back to work from the holiday, 88 the high. Tonight, patchy fog, 58 the low. Fog reach your Wednesday morning, then sunshine, warm high 82. Wednesday night, patchy fog again, low 56. Fog and sunny Thursday. I'm Alvin Washington, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways. We are the trifecta of talk in Southern California, KCAA, 102.3 FM Riverside, 106.5 FM Redlands, and the Legacy 1050 AM, Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
On June 5th, the choice is clear. James Ramos for State Assembly. James Ramos is tackling homelessness in our community, finding permanent housing for more than 400 veterans. Now he's helping homeless youth and families find housing. James Ramos is fighting to keep us safe. San Bernardino County Police and Sheriff support James Ramos for Assembly. We need him in the State Assembly, fighting for us. James Ramos for State Assembly. Paid for by People for Better Government Committee of the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians. Not authorized by a candidate or a committee controlled by a candidate.
This is Joseph Joe Marmaleo, one half of the Mo and Joe Show here on KCAA Radio. We're moving to a new night. That's Monday nights at 9 p.m. here on KCAA Radio. Catch the Mo and Joe Show, sports, music, movies, lifestyle, and everything in between. We'll see you Monday night.
KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So excited to welcome back to the show Michelle Harris from Alive and Well TV. She joins us twice a month to talk about beauty, lifestyle, celebrity, and everything in between. Michelle Harris, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be here. And I think we have a topic that you're going to be very excited about today.
Okay.
Because, of course, summer's starting.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So we all want those kind of beauty tips and tricks that we can use to get ready for summer. And this is something that I think every woman listening is going to be excited about. It's called Selfina, and what it does, it's the only FDA-approved way to get rid of cellulite for 3 years, if you can believe that.
I'm sorry, did you say 3 years?
3 years. It's the closest thing we have to, and it is almost really a permanent solution to cellulite. I know there's a lot of creams, there's a lot of different things you can do. This lasts up to 3 years and really, really works. And you go on your lunchtime, and they use a little wand, they put it under the skin and get rid of those bands, which actually cause cellulite. People don't realize that even if you're thin, most women still have cellulite. It's just a small layer of fat under the skin. This gets rid of it. It's called Selfina. It's amazing. I can't wait to try it.
It's called, now say that again slow, Selfina?
Selfina.
Can you spell that?
Cellfina. I know. It's amazing. And I've seen the before and after photos on this. They're so incredible.
Wow. That is incredible. I'll be getting that this summer.
Me too. And that way you can wear your shorts and your small skirts and everything you want and just leave the house and not have to worry about so much self-tanning and everything we kind of do for that.
Now, is that a treatment that you have to go to a center to get, or do you buy the cream online or from a doctor, or how does that work?
No, it has to be performed in a doctor's office, but it is minimally invasive, so it's not. You only need some numbing. That's it. You're awake. It's not a surgical procedure, and they just use a wand below the skin that delivers energy to that cellulite to break it up. And then you're done. And it's under an hour.
Wow. So you could do that on your lunch break.
Exactly. And I've heard of women having it and getting on a flight and all kinds of crazy things. So it's not it's not something that's really time intensive. With a lot of these things, you can get a little swollen or bruised, but it's very temporary. But hopefully after I have it, I can report back, and maybe you can do the same. Maybe we can go get a double Selfina.
That'd be awesome. Although I got to be honest, I need a whole lot of help, lot more help than just Selfina.
Oh, stop it! But I should say that cellulite does get better with a lot of other things, but the results are minimal. Like you can use massagers and things like that, and that will help to break it up. And of course, even though it's a different type of fat than wanting to lose weight, it is a completely different type of fat. It does get a little bit better with diet and exercise, but it's still, no matter what, you see it, I hate to say it, on the Victoria's Secret catwalk. So this is the solution, whether you're a Victoria's Secret angel or just a regular person, you can go get that cellulite taken care of.
So let me ask you something. We live in an area where we have tons of sun all year long. And, many people, I love being out in it, but it's hard on your skin, right? So, and I'm putting you on the spot because we didn't talk about this beforehand. Do you have any advice for people who just want to protect themselves in the sun?
Well, and I know, my goodness, our last time I was on the show, we talked about, preventing skin cancer. So, of course, you always want to use sun protection all the time. It's very, very important to use sun protection. And you should do it before you even go out of the house. And I think we talked about it a little bit, even on the side of my face just from driving, not even, going to the beach per se. I can see a difference in terms of getting little freckles and things like that on the side of my face that's exposed to the sun more so when I'm driving, to that left side of your face. And because it's by the window. So, yes, always wear sun protection, even if you're just going to be in the sun for a short time, because you want to protect yourself from sun damage, which can cause brown spots and fine lines and wrinkles. But you can also get skin cancer. So definitely do that. Wear a hat, wear light clothing. All of that is really important in the summer. And another thing that's important in the summer is to stay hydrated, because we don't want to become dehydrated. So, of course, we want to drink plenty of water, whatever kind of water you want, whether it's from the tap. If you like bottled water, you want to add some of those zero-calorie flavorings in just to, make sure you're drinking enough to stay hydrated. I actually run around everywhere with a reusable water bottle, constantly falling out of my bag, but I always have my water with me. But there's a supplement you may not know about called hyaluronic acid. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
Hyaluronic acid is kind of nature's little moisturizer because what it does is it actually holds the moisture in your body. And hyaluronic acid, you can just take it, again, in a supplement form. It's made from algae, and it helps our skin to stay plump and moist, but it also helps our joints. So there's numerous benefits of taking hyaluronic acid, because if it's keeping your skin moist, usually it's helping those joints too. So it's a great supplement for everyone, and especially in these summer months when it's getting warmer, you want to, get that supplement. But, and here's another new beauty product, hyaluronic acid is the basis for some of the fillers that people use. And there's a new filler called Versa. It's hyaluronic acid. It's free from animal products. And what's different about it is filler is not necessarily something that everyone does. And, of course, you may see people who have, things that didn't come out exactly right. Well, Versa has a certain type of molecule where it comes out more even and natural. So I don't know if this is protecting your skin, but it's sure as heck making it look better over the summer. So that may be something you want to consider as well. So you have the hyaluronic acid supplement that you're taking to keep your skin and joints healthy and just keep everything nice and moist. And then you have hyaluronic acid fillers like Versa, which is, very smoothing, can help fine lines and wrinkles, can help give your face a little lift, too. It's kind of a celebrity secret.
Wow. It's interesting that you talk about moisture because that's so important. If you live in climates where it's humid, you'll see that women's faces generally aren't as wrinkly as those of us who live in the desert Southwest. And it's because there's always moisture around them. Yes, they have to they have to drink the water, but there's moisture in the air, which actually does help the skin.
It does. We live in a much drier climate, and there's a very simple thing you can do for your skin as well, which is so easy: coconut oil. You maybe want to go easy if you're going to try it on your face, but coconut oil, you can just buy it at any grocery store, and it makes your skin so smooth, and it's really inexpensive. And one of the things I like to do is you can mix it with shea butter. Again, you can buy it. That is really sold at most natural food stores. Mix it together, add some essential oils, so you're kind of customizing like your own body lotion. But it's very, very moisturizing, and I like to put it on at night with a pair of socks so you get those places like your feet that tend to get really dry, especially this time of year we're wearing sandals all the time and your heels can get dry. Put that on, you wake up, it's like having brand new feet.
Oh, and you smell like the beach, with the coconut oil and the shea butter. That's such a wonderful smell.
And again, add essential oils to it because I love peppermint. There's different fragrances I like. During the winter months, I like something that smells, more cinnamony and things like that. So I like to smell like a cinnamon bun, basically, a lot of the year. So you can add vanilla and different fragrances to that. So it doesn't have to just smell like beachy for summer is wonderful, but you can use it other months of the year. And the coconut oil doesn't have an extremely strong fragrance like you'd think of in a tanning lotion or something. But just, don't forget to keep hydrated on the inside with hyaluronic acid, on the outside with using things like coconut oil or a really good moisturizer of your choice. Of course, we have our, Sulfina cellulite treatment. We have our hyaluronic acid Versa fillers. So we're kind of giving a complete way to keep our skin looking great. But you're right, the desert environment is a lot more difficult on our skin than if you live in a more moist climate, like if you go to Florida.
Well, this has been great. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us today. Tell everybody how they can follow you.
Well, check your local listings to see Alive and Well TV, of course, your local TV listings. And I know locally we're on KVVB. And then also you can go to our website to see what channels we're on in your area.
Well, Michelle,
which is aliveandwell.tv.
Aliveandwell.tv. Forgive me, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Michelle Harris, thank you so much. It's always a treat to have you on the show with us. Everybody, check out Alive and Well TV. And we need to take a break, and we'll be right back. Michelle, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we'll be right back.
And now, Inland Empire Today with Blake Trolley.
Today in entertainment, we have an update on NBC's new musical. Let's check in.
Give me a head with hair, long, beautiful hair.
The Broadway musical that ushered in the age of Aquarius will be NBC's next live musical. The Los Angeles Times says Hair Live will air sometime this year. The rock musical made its Broadway debut 50 years ago. It's about a group of politically active hippies living in New York who opposed the Vietnam War. That's entertainment. I'm Polly Kreisman, NBC News Radio.
What if I told you you'd never have to make a house payment again? What if you could pay off much-needed home repairs and even create an income stream based on the value of your home? If you're 62 years old or older, you could be eligible for a reverse mortgage. Call Tim Harrison and find out if a reverse mortgage is right for you. Call Tim at 800-566-2475. That's 800-566-2475.
Tim Harrison, branch manager, NMLS number 170960. Broadview Mortgage Corporation is licensed by the Department of Business Oversight under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. License number 170952. Registered with the Nationwide Mortgage Licensing System and registry number 813B544. Broadview Mortgage, equal housing lender. Remember, if you never want to make a house payment again, except for property taxes, maintenance, and insurance, that's 800-566-2475. That's 800-566-2475.
Hey, what's going on? This is Andrew Caravella.
And this is Manny Boy Sandoval.
And we have a brand new show that's coming to KCAA.
That's right. We do have a brand new show coming to KCAA, and it's going to be the best show ever.
Challenges, tutorials, reviews, pranks, interviews, music, pretty much a show all about the YouTube community that keeps us binging day and night.
It's the WeTube radio show where we talk YouTube.
We got the exclusives and the interviews with your favorite viral stars.
So get ready, subscribers, coming Tuesday nights to a radio near you, only on NBC News Radio. KCAA Radio presents the WeTube radio show.
So like us, subscribe to us, and comment below. Just kidding, it's literally a radio show. Tune in and listen live Tuesdays at 7 on KCAA.
KCAA Radio in the Inland Empire, the station that leaves no listener behind.
KCAA, where every day is a great day.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So the European Union has proposed banning plastic products like cotton buds, so those like Q-tips that are made from plastic.
Okay.
Straws, stirrers, and balloon sticks. When alternatives are easily available in an attempt to reduce litter spoiling beaches and ocean beds. And there was a video going around on YouTube, and it was on Facebook all over the place with a large turtle that had a straw stuck in its nose, and how difficult it was to remove that straw. And so the EU is taking action. So EU Vice President Franz Timmermans said utensils would not be banned completely, but steps would be taken to have them made out of sustainable materials when possible. You can still organize a picnic, drink a cocktail, and clean your ears just like before. He also made new proposals to ensure that that it's the polluter that pays. The proposal will be assessed by the EU Parliament and member states, but Timmermans hopes to see results before May 2019.
So I'm wondering if all the turtles and the sea animals will begin to migrate more towards Europe because of the safety factor, as opposed to countries that continue to
really,
pollute.
Tobin? This is a serious problem.
It is, and I applaud them for attempting to make the change, but I always feel like, there's kind of a bit of an overreaction.
I don't. What they're saying is they're seeking to cut marine litter in half for the 10 most prominent items and to avoid environmental damage estimated over at over $250 billion over the next 10 years or next dozen years. So I actually think I don't think there's anything wrong with this. And you watch in California, they'll be banning straws before you know it.
Oh, I'm certain.
And so then everybody will just carry around their own straws.
Yes. Or God forbid you'll put your lips on the side of the cup.
No. Well, okay, but think of how often you drink something in your car.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and you don't want to have to deal with the chance that it'll spill.
Have you seen the new Starbucks sippy cups?
You're joking.
No, they've already gone to this. They've got these. It's got like a little duck lip on the edge of it, like a little sippy cup kind of a thing.
Okay, well, no, they do that for their. I've actually used them for their nitro, their cold brew, their nitro cold brew, which is so good. The sweet cream nitro cold brew. Oh my goodness, that's delicious. But so I've seen it for that, but I've not seen it for any other drink.
Yeah, so all this stuff's going to be biodegradable. I already saw, I guess, one of the major soft drink manufacturers is getting rid of the little plastic rings that hold the drinks together, and they're replacing it with something that's biodegradable.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you think about how a fish, any marine mammal or any marine animal, kind of navigates the ocean. The thought that they could swim into one of those holes and get stuck.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that happens.
Well, and then there's another thing I saw the other day, and this one I didn't watch the video, but I just saw the headline, and I need to go back and watch it. But it talked about the microfibers that we have in some of our clothing and fabrics, and when they get into the ocean and the water, and how they're catching. And they had a picture of all these little fish sort of captured in microfibers, like little tiny fish.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah.
So that basically what you're saying is that microfiber kind of behaves like a net?
Yep.
Oh, that's bad. Especially, if it's like krill and whales eat krill.
Yes.
And, so that's the thing that strikes me, though, is, environmentalists will say, well, you all are destroying the planet, right? You being the consumer. And, I don't know that this stuff is bad. It's available. I use it because it works. And so, if it turns out to be bad for the environment, fine, I'll use something else.
Yeah.
Back in the day, people didn't throw away as much. We throw away so much stuff, and maybe we need to stop doing that. Maybe we use more reusable things. Not so much plastic.
Yeah.
Not some. So go back to the butcher wrapping wrapping the meat in paper.
Yeah.
Go back to using glass bottles instead of plastic, unless that plastic can be 100% recycled.
Yeah. Do it. Wash a dish, kids. Come on. Wash a dish. Come on. Don't just use paper plates and stuff like that. Don't just throw it all away. Come on, wash a dish.
Wash a dish.
Put your hands in the water. Get a little soap in there.
And maybe we've had this conversation at home about water bottles, right? Because we get water delivered. We get the water bottles delivered, but we also get the 5-gallon jugs delivered, and they go into a cooler. We've got hot water and cold water, and and we have reusable cups, but some people in the family prefer the plastic water bottles.
And that would be me.
Well, you outed yourself.
I'm an environmentalist.
As long as they go into the recycle bin.
I go mental when people talk about the environment. That's all I'm saying, people. I'm an environmentalist.
God, stupid.
I think it's funny. I get it. I don't like the reusable stuff. Those things I don't like them.
Why?
I don't like them.
Okay, do you have a reason? Is there a thought process?
I don't like them.
Okay, so your kids wash a dish. Does it apply to you?
If the kids were washing a dish, that'd be different. Who washes the dishes? I do the dishes.
Okay, I didn't mean in our home. I meant the statement, the kind of global statement that you just made.
No, I get it.
And our kids, our daughter's Friday's it. She's moved out. She's getting married on Friday.
Yeah, slave labor is gone.
Oh, please.
The whole reason for having kids is to have people wait on you hand and foot for a good 15, 20 years while they're growing up. And now she's moving out. She got married young. I was all excited.
She's got tired of being Cinderella.
I was all excited about this generation that's going to live at home for a while and really take care of me.
Oh, God.
And now she's out the door.
Please know he's joking. So with that, It's the end of our show for today. Have a great day, everybody. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we'll be back tomorrow.
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
I'm Chuck Kamlick, CNBC. Amazon opening a new fulfillment center, this time in Oklahoma.